People have heard of Title IX? Okay. So we do have a basis then for inclusiveness within, and much more than Title IX, of course, but that's something that drives AAUW in terms of its role in public education. So we have education, we have AUW and its efforts in fairness and inclusiveness, and then we have the idea of STEM. So we're looking at three things today: public education, AUW's role and other roles in terms of creating equity, especially for women and girls, and then STEM. Now, when I started to talk about coming here today, I was told that maybe I should make sure to explain STEM because not that many people know what I might be referring to. So I just want to check. I will say what it is, of course, but if I say STEM, is that something that's right on the top of your head in mind? How many people? Okay, great. Science, technology, engineering, and math. We have a great audience here. It's not always the case beyond the university community. So we're going to see how those three areas, public education, AUW and other advocates for women and girls, for equity, and STEM come together. There is a lot of activity at this point in the country, and this is where I was a little bit surprised. This is just a quote from an organization that provides STEM online training. Quote, "With STEM education high on everyone's priority list, from local and federal funders to our district parents, we need to make our STEM efforts visible. What's the best source for building STEM curricula, content, staff training, and community networks?" So STEM is all over the place. It's part of educational technology and distance education. It's part of the government. It's a mandate partly because it goes to our national competitiveness. Some of you may have seen a press release that reflects the composition of the Obama Jobs Council, and that is a focus on engineering in particular. And the statistic that sticks in my mind that might help you put this in perspective and maybe represent it to other people is the fact that every year in the United States we graduate a number of students, bachelor's degrees, let's say, and that number of the entire graduates across the country equals the number of engineering graduates in China. So just in terms of volume alone, we know that we are in a competitive situation, and so in terms of the whole matrix of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, we know that we have to make sure that we're competitive. I'm going to start in a moment showing you some figures so that if you're not familiar with how we are doing in terms of STEM students and graduates, that will put that in perspective. But I wanted to let you know that AUW is among many organizations and so on, agencies that are focusing particularly on this area, women in STEM. For example, there's STEM, Good Jobs Now and for the Future, Women in STEM, A Gender Gap to Innovation, reports from the U.S. Department of Commerce. There are organizations such as the National Partnership, National Association for Partners in Equity. There are a variety of organizations that focus mainly on women, the National Council for Research on Women, the National Council of Women's Organizations, the National Center for Women and Girls Education. It goes on. One of the organizations that I wanted to particularly mention, because AUW has been a partner in a national effort for the last 5 years. It's funded by the National Science Foundation, and it's the National Girls Collaborative Project. It's an effort, and there are state and regional sub-collaboratives that belong to this. Illinois does have one. But it's an attempt to identify and then register in a national registry those programs, projects, efforts, activities, ongoing initiatives that will create awareness to girls and women of STEM and engage them in learning, create awareness of careers, and then follow that education into the workplace. I think that we all know, but it bears repeating, that education is not an end in itself. And I know that the past School to Work or Education to Careers initiative that I participated in, and probably some of you did too nationally, was trying to get past the idea of, well, I'm going to get an education, as if that were the goal. That's clearly not the goal. I know we all know that. But the thinking is, what happens with the education that you get? So we, in AUW and other groups, want to take a look at how the education that is available through the public system, primarily, of course, for all of us, how that translates into preparation and persistence in the workplace. So that's a very key piece, and you will see some of the slides later on that deal with that workplace piece, just because women and STEM education are not the end. They are just a doorway that we want to go through. So having said that, I think that it's probably a good place to segue to the AUW research that I'd like to focus on for today. And that is, why so few? Women in STEM, women in science, technology, engineering, and math is the whole title. There is a copy that will be raffled off. And if you'd like to have a chance at winning one, just put your name in the basket out at the main table if you haven't already done so. This is about number 29 or 30 in AUW's Research Equity Library. It came out in 2010, but I wanted to call your attention to the fact that AUW has had research since 1991 based on how girls and women are faring in the educational system and how that's preparing them for the rest of their lives. So if we have a time or a chance at the Q&A and somebody's interested, we can pull that list of research up. And there are research reports that continue to come out. We're looking at one on cyberbullying coming out soon, as well as one in the role of community colleges and STEM education for women. So we are almost ready to go to the PowerPoint presentation, but I have another question. And that is, with this topic and focus and advocacy, if you will, of women in STEM, I've presented to groups before and found out after I got done that they thought what I said was fine, but they had no real interest or understanding about why this might be important. So I'm going to put you on the spot again with a quick question, if anybody wants to offer, so that by the time we get done, you'll have an idea of not only what it is that we're talking about, but why you might want to focus on it and possibly even put it into practice. Why is it important to focus on and learn about and act on the participation of women in science, technology, engineering, and math? There's no right or wrong answer, by the way.